guys, so I am here with my September reading wrap up. Now I did a little bit better than I did last month. Last month I only read 2 books. This month I read 5, so I'm much happier this month. Excuse me if I sound funny, I've got a tic tac in my mouth. So yeah, this month I did a lot better. I'm really happy with what I got read this month. So let's just get on with the wrap up. I'm rambling. I'm so out of the habit of recording videos that it's a little bit silly. So anyway, the first book that I read, well, first of all I should say 4 out of the 5 books I read on my Kindle. I'm really into reading on my Kindle since I changed it last year, because I used to have the Kindle keyboard, but last year I bought the Kindle Paperwhite. And since I've bought this one, I've read more and more on my Kindle, to the point where I think I actually do read more ebooks now than physical books. I mean, I always did a lot of reading on my Kindle keyboard, but reading on this one is so much better than I thought it would be, and it's like faster, easier to search for things on this one, and it links up to your Goodreads account and everything, so it's just a much better Kindle. I do need to get myself a new case though, because it's like cracked and everything now, which is completely irrelevant to this video. But yeah, anyway, love that Kindle. So the first book I read on my Kindle is The Best Is Yet to Come by Bella Andre. This is the first book in her new sort of Summer Lake series, which is kind of a spin-off to her Sullivan series. You do see some of the characters from the Sullivans, and the location is one that you see in the Sullivans novels. And I really liked this book. I gave it 4 out of 5. It's a really cute contemporary adult romance novel, and I just really like Bella Andre. If you followed my channel for a little while, you'll know that I like Bella Andre. I tend to keep up with her books, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not my favourite of her novels, but it was just light and fluffy and what I needed at the time, so yeah, 4 out of 5. Then I read One Night in Scotland by Karen Hawkins. This is the first book in her Hearst Amulet series. I gave it 4 out of 5. I really like Karen Hawkins books. I first read her, what's it called? Oxenberg Princes series. As you guys know, I'm a huge lover of Regency romance, and that's what she writes. And I really enjoy her novels for what they are. You know, I love me some guilty pleasure Regency romance, and hers are some of my absolute favourites, and this is a different series by her. I did really enjoy it. I liked the build up of it, how the two characters meet, and how they clash, and they're a good match for each other. They make each other hold their own, which I absolutely loved. I mean, the main characters, the woman just shows up on his doorstep claiming to be his friend's brother, and she needs an artifact from him. But he has been told by her brother that someone is going to come for this artifact, and not to hand it over. So he basically keeps her prisoner, and until she can prove her identity to him. And she finds a way to get herself out of that room. And it's really funny. The only thing I would say is the ending felt quite rushed. I wish that had been as developed as the rest of the story, because the build up to it and the characters sort of growing on each other and everything was really good, and I thought they were extremely well developed, and I loved how everything was moving. So it was going all really well, and then the end just felt so rushed. I felt they deserved a better ending, these characters. They did get their happy ending, but I just felt it was very rushed, and I wish that they'd had more time. But I still gave it 4 out of 5. The next book I read is actually the only physical book that I read this month, and that's The Not So Subtle Art of Being a Fat Girl by Tess Holliday. I really liked Tess Holliday. I first heard of her when a colleague that I was working with at the time, she's kind of big like I am, and she said, "Oh, have you heard of Tess Munster?" And I was like, "No." She's like, "Well, she's a plus size model, like, you know, a well-known plus size model." So she introduced me to her. I started following her on Instagram and stuff, and I just really like her. And then when I saw that she was coming out with a book, I was like, I want to read that. I don't normally read sort of memoirs or autobiography autobiographies, biographies, anything like that. But I really, really wanted to read this, and I'm so glad I did. She's very genuine. The way that she writes is just like she's speaking to you. She doesn't really hold anything back in this novel. You find out a lot of things that have happened to her. She's had quite a hard life. And it was quite hard hitting in places, I would say. And she basically created the hashtag F Your Beauty Standards. And I find her a very inspiring lady. Like most big people, I guess, I have self-confidence issues and things I don't like about myself. And reading this has made me want to try and get over some of those, I guess. And the way she writes makes it seem like you can do it. I know that sounds silly. I really wanted, she did actually a book signing in London, and I wished that I could go, but it clashed with work, so I couldn't. But I absolutely love this, and I was reading other books sort of in between, but I read it quite quickly, and I was super glad that I did. I gave it 5 out of 5, and I highly recommend reading this book to everybody. Loved it. The next one that I read was Her Master and Commander by Karen Hawkins. This is the first book in a different series by her. This is the first in the Just Ask Reeves series. And again, this was just another light Regency romance. I did enjoy it. It was quite funny. It's about a naval captain. Oh God, I can't remember his name. Tristan was his name, and he has, because of an injury, is no longer able to sail, so he's sort of taken himself off to a cottage by the sea, but all his men keep finding him who can't sail either, and he's trying to look after all these sailors. And then he meets this woman called Prudence, and she has to try and teach him how to be a gentleman, because he's found out that his father has left him a title, but he can only get it if he passes like a board of inspectors. If they say he can have it, so he has to learn how to be a gentleman. So yeah, it was cute, it was sweet. Not my favourite of hers by any means, but I did enjoy it. I'd say I'd give that again like about a 4 out of 5, as I did enjoy it. And then the last book that I read was Because You're Mine by Lisa Kleypas. And I've not read many Lisa Kleypas books. I read her, I think, at Bow Street Runner series. I'm looking over there because I know I've got physical copies of that on my shelf. And I loved those books. So I'm very surprised I haven't read more, because that trilogy of hers that I read, I absolutely loved. I think I read them one after the other. And just absolutely love them. So I picked this one up, and it's actually the second book in a duology, but you can read them separately. And I absolutely loved it. I read it in 2 days, couldn't put it down, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic Regency novel. I think I want to own a physical copy of it. Not that, you know, I need any more physical books, if you can see the absolute bloody mess behind me. But it was just an excellent book. It's about this, I think she's 18-year-old girl called Madeline, and her parents have betrothed her against her wishes to a much older, wealthy man, and she hates him. She describes him as looking like a frog. She cannot stand him. So she decides that she's going to run away from school and ruin herself with a notorious womanizing actor, so that she doesn't have to marry this lord. The only problem is, when she meets this actor called Logan Scott, is she actually genuinely starts to like him, and she's worried obviously that she's deceived him. But it was absolutely fantastic. I loved both characters. It was sort of funny, sweet, sad in places, because you really felt for both characters. And oh my goodness, it was just an absolutely fantastic Regency novel. I gave it 5 out of 5. I'd say that and The Not So Subtle Art of Being a Fat Girl were my 2 absolute favourite books for the month. Highly recommend both of them. So yeah, that's everything I read this month, guys. If you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like to, also let me know. And also let me know what your favourite book that you read was this month, because I always like to know. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Happy reading.